Welcome back to That's Some Cheese, part of the Vendetta Sports Podcast Network. Today is Monday, November 23rd, recording this in the afternoon. And a reoccurring guest, Jackson Law from the Tandemonium Podcast, Toast Talk, new Star Wars series, Backyard Football, NFL 2K5, Vendetta University. I think that's it, maybe? Did I miss any?
Did you say Assassin's Creed?
I did not. Assassin's Creed. There we go.
Yeah.
Now I think I got them all.
Just keep piling up. Just keep piling it up.
So we have Jackson on again, and I said to him that we would record after the NBA draft and NBA free agency stuff. So we'll focus on that for a majority of it, then maybe do some football topics afterwards. Jackson, I know you're trying to butter me up with the t-shirt. So let's just start with the Celtics. Let's get it out of the way. I've been trying to think of an angle here. This is good. That is bad. This is good. That is bad. Don't have one. I'm just depressed. And I sit there and I think the NBA is just an unfair game. It's just an unfair game. As soon as you get Anthony Davis and, you get all these max guys, just everything falls into place. The Lakers win the title and they just get better. And somehow they're not a tax team and they keep adding guys like Montrezl Harrell. Like
they're just
Dennis
pulling
Schroeder
money out their
in.
ass. Like I honest to God have no idea where the Lakers are getting their money from. And now I know that Anthony Davis hasn't re-signed yet, but I mean he's going to. But still, even then, it's like they should have used up all their mid-level exceptions by now. I don't understand it.
I don't know what to compare it to, but it's the only sport where it's almost good to be bad sometimes. Let's think of the Lakers, for example. They draft D'Angelo Russell. Doesn't really work. They move on from him. Don't get anything for him. They draft Julius Randle. Doesn't really work. Didn't get anything for him. They made all these picks. Brandon Ingram wasn't really good with them. They do all these things. Nothing really happens. Lonzo Ball, second pick. Didn't work. But somehow they win the title. Meanwhile, we have Danny Ainge, and we think he pulls off the heist of the century. He gets all these picks from Brooklyn, and not only does he get all these picks from Brooklyn, he hits on all of the picks. He gets Jason Tatum. He gets Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. All these picks come in, and they're, nobody really hits the NBA draft, but he did a damn good job. It's not like he went out there and picked Josh Jackson and, a bunch of scrubs. He hit on his picks. And we sit here today and it's like, doesn't matter. They're screwed. It's unbelievable.
I don't think they're entirely screwed.
They're
now,
screwed.
you being a big Celtics fan, like you're pretty pessimistic about this team. There's still a top 3 team in the East. They could still win the East. That's if Tatum and Brown continue to take that step, and if Kimba can stay healthy.
I'm just depressed.
And who knows? You're the new guy that you drafted. The sniper from Vanderbilt. Maybe he steps in and fulfills the Gordon Hayward role of coming in off the bench and just getting the occasional 3 here and there.
I'm just depressed. Like we sit here and like, okay, I really did not think Gordon Hayward was going to leave. I really did not think he was going to leave. Mostly,
I don't think Danny Ainge thought he was going to leave.
Mostly because he had $34 million in his back pocket. It just sucks. Like, if you're Danny Ainge, what would you have done differently? There's nothing you can do.
I've said it before. I still would have pulled the trigger on the Miles Turner and Doug McDermott trade. I know you don't care much for it, but no. If that's the best, it's better than letting Hayward walk for nothing. And it's not like once Hayward knew that, and if he was willing to step into that, and like I said, that's just all rumor. So we don't even know if that was a legitimate thing or not, because there's so much speculation that happens, especially from these accounts that have significant followings, but they don't have insiders in the NBA. They're just kind of fans that talk about the NBA. And they start speculating. Like I saw one today that was speculating, and it's got a significant following on Twitter. And they were talking about the reason why that Anthony Davis is holding out is so that way he can sign a 1-year guaranteed and a 1-year player option, so that way they could try to bring in Giannis next year, so they have the cap space for it. And it's like, and they're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And they try to source something and it doesn't make any sense. And it's just all speculation. So that could have just been speculation about the Doug McDermott and Miles Turner thing. But it sucks. It sucks losing Hayward for nothing and not having the cap space, having to sign Thompson with an exception. And that's about the only move that you could make. He's an upgrade.
I don't know if that he is. I don't know that he is. Are you 100% positive he's better than Enes Kanter? Because that's basically what they did.
I would say for what the Celtics need, he's maybe a peg or two higher than what Kanter was. Oh
boy, that really tingles my nuts. Jesus. like I'm sitting here looking at it like, okay, we got rid of Brad Wanamaker, but like I kind of wanted to see what Pritchard could do, and they signed Jeff Teague, and now I don't think he's gonna play. So
yeah, the Jeff Teague thing was kind of weird.
Like my understanding on it is that they maybe could have done the sign and trade. The only problem is Hayward would have had to take a significant pay cut, because even in, I think Miles Turner makes 18 and McDermott makes like 6 or whatever, Indiana still would have had to get to like $30 million to match the salaries, because that's what Charlotte gave Hayward. My understanding was Indiana could only offer him like $100 million because that's the only thing they could match. So Hayward, I guess, took the highest bidder, or he could have waited maybe, but
yeah. But I mean, the trade-off is that I think everyone can say that the Pacers are a better team than what the Hornets are right now. Cause I mean, the Pacers have been competitive in the playoffs. They've always had injuries. So, I mean, that could have been a thought, is that, he could try to go get a ring somewhere else. But the Hornets thing, which I didn't know this until I think Woj tweeted it out. Back when he was with Utah, when he was a restricted free agent, so after he got off his rookie deal, he actually accepted an offer sheet from Charlotte, but then Utah matched it. So it looks like he's been wanting to go to Charlotte for a long time.
The thing I don't understand is, you're the Hornets. Why do you even do this? Like, that's the thing that really pisses me off. Why do you do this if you're the Hornets? Like, what in your mind says, yes, this is what we're going to drop $120 million on? And by the way, they couldn't even do it. They had to stretch and waive Nick Batum. So now Nick Batum is on the Hornets salary books for the next, I think, 4 years at $9 million. They're just eating,
and that's dead cap. That's $9 million they can't spend.
They're just eating dead cap so that they could sign Hayward. So you're not just like, it's one thing if you're like, okay, we have the cap, we'll go get Hayward, we'll figure it out, whatever. They legit didn't have the money and cut Batum in order to do this. Like, that's crazy. The thing that pisses me off. The Celtics got screwed because the Hornets are dumb. That's what pisses me off. That's what sucks about this.
I guess MJ is still, just pissed off that Danny Ainge beat him in that game of golf way back in the day.
That's what sucks.
He's like, because he's like, I don't even care. It's like, I'm gonna take your guy and I'm gonna waive this dude and just have $9 million dead cap over the next 4 years, so that way you can't have him.
Like, as a GM, I don't understand how you could do that to yourself.
Dude, it's a hopeless cause.
That's what the NBA
Charlotte
fucking sucks. A team that's really good is getting screwed because a team that made a move was detrimental in their own self. Like, think about that.
Yeah, I don't blame Hayward in this situation. Dude went and gotten his bag. He was not going to get another $30 million per year deal, especially from the Celtics. And so he went and he got his bag now. He's got over $30 million for the next, 4 years?
Yeah.
From the Hornets. And then he can just retire. He can, join some esports group, because he does a lot of streaming and video game stuff. And like the 5 kids that he has.
I don't have the words. I'm sitting here today and I'm like, I don't really want to watch the season. I get like this, like when the Celtics had Isaiah Thomas and the media was fawning over his, 29-point performances, and oh my God, Isaiah Thomas is couldn't watch a game because I knew it was just garbage. I feel like that today. I feel like I don't even want to watch the year.
I feel you, dude. For the longest time, I knew that the Grizzlies were never going to win a title, but they kept hanging on to the core four, and Wallace was still our GM, and we were trading first-round picks for Jeff Green.
Like I legit don't want to watch a game.
I like I said, man, Tatum is a great player. He got his bag, which he deserved it. Brown's really good too. They're one of the best duos in the NBA. Could probably become the best in my opinion. I wouldn't have bought Tatum's, jersey if I didn't like him, if I didn't think he was a good player. But I mean, yeah, it's tough. You just have to wait and see what happens when the season comes up. It's a short season. Anything can happen. But it is tough because KD and Kyrie are back.
Let's look at the Eastern Conference like this. I think Brooklyn. People disagree with me. I still think Brooklyn's the best team with those two guys.
Talent-wise, yeah. It's just no one knows how they're gonna mesh. They're two guys that couldn't be number ones on championship winning teams. They had to be number twos. So who's going to be the number one?
I think that's kind of unfair to Durant.
No,
it's really unfair to Durant.
No, he's the best scorer, but he can't be the leader of the team because he was arguably the leader in OKC. And I will say that I'm saying that thinking that I also believe KD is purely the best player in the NBA. When he's 100%, there's no one that can match him. Not even LeBron can even match him. He, as the leader of a team, he couldn't be it because he was the guy in OKC, and they couldn't get it done. They choke away that 3-1 lead. And then
but you know my response to that one.
Yeah, I know. And he goes to a team where he doesn't have to be the guy, even if he was the go-to scorer. And he was able to, at Golden State, that wasn't his team. That was 100% Steph's team. Steph was the leader of that team, always has been and always will be until the day that he leaves or retires or whatever happens. That is Steph Curry's team. And it was still his team when KD was there. But playoff KD is just a different animal. And it's because he's a 7-foot-tall demigod that can throw it up from half court, and it's going to go in 45% of the time.
I will defend Durant till I die, just because I do, I'm with you. Most people won't say it. I do think he's the best player. I don't know which guy we're getting, but I still think he's the best player. I'll never blame him for leaving Westbrook. I don't care. You can tell me, oh my God, he went to the Warriors. I'm not staying with fucking Westbrook. We've seen what that guy does in the playoffs. Oh, they choke away a 3-1 lead. Yeah, no shit. He's got that guy.
Yeah, no. And I don't blame him for leaving OKC either. It's like you're the best player in the league. You're an MVP. And it kind of cheapens the rings
I don't think
a little bit.
What was his other option? Where else was he going to go? See, people bring that up, but Isaiah Thomas is the number 2 guy. Doesn't excite me. Sorry.
I don't know, man. It's just, I'm saying in a lot of people's eyes, it's difficult to justify, which not justify. That's maybe not the right word, but just to call yourself like a dog and then you go join a team that just won 73 games.
Not fair. Not fair to criticize Durant. We look at LeBron. Oh, so his rings mean more than Durant's, but he's built how many super teams now? What's the difference?
Only really one is better than Durant's, I would say. And that's the one he won in Cleveland. And it's because they drafted Kyrie after LeBron left. But
they
then
never
he did
get
force
Kyrie.
Kevin Love.
If LeBron stays in Cleveland the whole time, they never have Kyrie. They never have Kevin Love because they would have been way too good to get Wiggins, and they never would have been bad enough to get those guys in the draft.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you there. LeBron's the one that started this whole thing, this super team crap.
So I don't care if guys leave or go. Just, I don't know. I think it's a weak argument. I still think Brooklyn's the best. The only thing that makes me somewhat excited is I don't think Milwaukee's that good. We can talk about that next. I know Brian gave me a little bit of a shout out in the Tandemonium show, but to me, The move that made me nervous was Bogdanovich. Bogdanovich is the guy that I would have wanted. Bogdanovich is, I actually think he's the better Bogdanovich. He can give you 18 a night, really make it splash, and I think he can do more than just spot up and shoot. I think he can really attack the basket, and getting him away from Sacramento and playing with a guy like Giannis, that would have frightened me. But they come out of this given what, 5 first-round picks for Jrue Holiday? Like, that's your splash, and they signed a couple of guys like DJ Augustine, Torrey Craig. I don't give a fuck. Who cares about those
DJ
guys?
Augustine got a bag for his age. Could not believe it.
I could make the argument Milwaukee's worse.
I think so, yeah. Jrue Holiday, he is a good player. It's just I think they obviously gave up way too much. They gave up Anthony Davis level compensation, draft compensation for Jrue Holiday. And you can't tell me that Jrue Holiday and his skill set are equal or match that in any possible way to what AD has brought to the Lakers.
Well, this was sort of my point on it. These NBA teams have made these moves to where, okay, we really want to convince Devin Booker we know what we're doing, but we kind of don't make good moves to do it. It doesn't make sense to me. Like if I'm Giannis and I'm sitting here today and I say my franchise is so desperate to keep me that they are willing to give up 5 first-round picks for Jrue Holiday, that makes me want to leave, not stay. So I think these teams are so desperate they're making moves that hurt themselves. So
because they're desperate.
I can't understand it.
I can't get into the mindset of it either. I don't know why you would give up 5 first-round picks for Jrue Holiday. I could see 2 at the max, but like one of them being far in the future and heavily protected, like one a bit closer and one heavily protected.
Has anyone brought
and
this
like
point
that
up?
be it?
Okay, Jrue Holiday, expiring contract. He's from Los Angeles, played at UCLA. Nobody knows that guy's going to stay. Like, you're not just banking on, okay, we got to do this to convince Giannis. What happens if Jrue Holiday's not happy and he leaves?
Well, then the Bucks are screwed. They're back to being
like we're 100% convinced that Milwaukee is like, yeah, they're going to keep Jrue Holiday. 100%.
I'm not convinced of that, and I'm not convinced that Giannis signs the Supermax. In fact, I don't think Giannis should sign the Supermax this year. I think he needs to wait till next year, let the league play out this year, and then honestly wait and see what give Milwaukee the rest of this year to do something, and maybe like the first few days of next offseason to do something. And if they don't do anything, then you're going to have plenty of suitors. There's going to be a lot of teams that have opened up their pocketbooks for that year, because that's what, the smart teams anyway, are trying to make room to clear up $20 to $30 million for 2021 to try to sign if not a max guy, then someone that is close to that level that could help them compete.
Unbelievable. Like, as a Celtics fan, that's the only thing that makes me happy, is that Milwaukee's really fucking this thing up. I don't think Miami really got better. Like the things that Miami did, it was really just a way of, okay, let's preserve cap space in case we can get Giannis. They brought back Dragic, but they lost Derek Jones. They lost Jay Crowder. So I don't think they really got better. But I would just, they can't win a championship now, the Celtics, unless another move happens. But that's the other crazy part of this. If they want to get a trade exception for Hayward, they have to do a sign-and trade with Charlotte. And now Charlotte can sit there and say, okay, we want assets to give you the trade exception. So not only are you losing Hayward, you have to give up something to lose Hayward. How fucked up is that?
Yeah, Hornets hold all the cards in that, because Hayward's already verbally agreed. There's nothing stopping. Like, there's like the Hornets and Hayward don't own the Celtics anything.
It's insane. The NBA is insane. You not only have to lose Hayward for nothing, but if you want a trade exception for Hayward, you have to give up something to lose Hayward. It's insane.
Yeah, and it would probably be a first-round pick.
It's insane. Like, that's what Memphis did with Andre Iguodala. They wanted a trade exception for Iguodala, send him to Memphis or whatever. And they got they had to give up draft picks. But They only really used it for Kelly Oubre. I think that's what they used it for. So I don't even know if a trade exception is worth
Golden
it.
State. Yeah, Golden State, they gave us, I think it's a 2024, 2025, like lottery protected pick. And you're talking about, this is like the advanced years of Clay and Steph and Draymond. So that could turn into something that's pretty exciting if you're a Memphis fan.
What other NBA topics do you have? I know there's a lot of NBA draft stuff. We
kind
of went over it, but kind of didn't.
Yeah, I mean, draft stuff. Like I took some notes, obviously, through our big draft extravaganza live stream.
Yeah, let's talk about that
on YouTube.
You hosted the draft or the live stream. What were your takeaways?
Takeaways. Pistons have no idea what they're doing in the draft or in the offseason. They're signing and hoarding all the big men. Though. Yeah. Just also one thing real quickly. It seemed to start to make sense when they traded Tony Bradley for Zaire Smith. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's not terrible. You know, Zaire Smith, he's maybe he could have a resurgence. They cut him instantly. Like the second they get him, it's like, what the hell are you guys doing? You acquire all these big men. You need guards and wings. You trade for a young guard / wing that can contribute, and you gave up Tony Bradley for him. So if he doesn't work out,
not even that, like, they traded for Tony Bradley.
Yeah, I know they traded for Tony Bradley, then they trade Tony Bradley for Zaire Smith, and then they cut Zaire Smith, so they get nothing out of it.
And they signed Jahlil Okafor and Mason and Miles Plumlee, one of the Plumlees.
Yeah, one of the Plumlees.
They signed about every center that exists.
Jeremy Grant, they got Jeremy Grant, which is
$20 million a year for Jeremy Grant, though, is insane.
He's at least 17. I would give 17 to Jeremy Grant, but that's about the maximum I would give to Jeremy Grant. And
Jeremy Grant, I guess apparently the Nuggets offered him the same thing, and he said, "Yeah, I'd rather go to Detroit."
Yeah, he wants to have a bigger role.
Can we talk about two things that I have to bring up, and then you can dive into whatever you want to talk about? But
yeah, I mean, it's your podcast. You can technically talk about whatever you want.
Do NBA players have such little self-awareness? Like, I'm convinced out of any athlete in any sport, NBA players have no goddamn idea what they are actually doing. We have a guy like Jeremy Grant, and he says, yeah, I'd rather play for Detroit. Gordon Hayward, he's already in a contender. He gets to play for his collegiate coach. He can have $34 million in his back pocket. Fuck it, I'm going to Charlotte. At some point, can we call out some of these NBA players for being fucking miserable?
Yeah, I don't get it. Okay, so Grant, he just wants to be a bigger part of the offense, but he's not going to be because he's going to be backing up Blake Griffin. They're not trading away Blake Griffin right now.
Some of these guys are delusional.
And obviously he has a better shot, not saying that he can win one with the Nuggets, but he has definitely 100% better shot of winning one with the Nuggets than he does the Pistons. Pistons are not going to be competing anytime soon. Hayward, this move makes it sound like he values a paycheck over winning a title at this point in his career, because there's no way he's going to be competing in Charlotte. So he gets $30 million guaranteed over the next 4 years, where he would probably lose money if he took the 34 this year and then tried to re-sign next year. Cause what if he gets injured, and he didn't have that great of a season this past year. So I don't know. Like I said, I think he valued money a bit more over trying to compete for a ring.
I'm going to bring up my other takeaway, but let's take a break here and go to our sponsors.
The following broadcast is brought to you in association by Forever Grips. Go to forevergripsgaming.com for all of your affordable gaming accessories. Need new grips for your analog sticks? They've got it. Need to swag up your controller or console, including the Xbox Series X or PS5? They've got it. Need a sweet mouse pad to complete your setup? Go to forevergripsgaming.com now. Act now and use the Vendetta Sports Media promo code VSM15 at checkout to get 15% off of your purchase. That's right, 15% off by using our promo code VSM15. Forever Grips, the best accessories for the best prices are with Forever Grips.
All right, so we're back here with Jackson Law. You can follow him on Twitter at JLaw1995. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Myself, Trey Daubert. One more thing I wanted to bring up, and this kind of goes back to the NBA draft, but how bad was and I guess you didn't actually watch it, but how bad was the ESPN telecast? Did you watch it at all?
I had it on like a laptop that was next to me, but I didn't have the volume on, and I mostly just used it to see what pick was up next or who was picking, how much time was left. That's literally all I used it for.
I just want to say this, like, I know who's it? I think his name's Mike Schmitz. Is that his name? I think that's his name. So. Jonathan Gavoni. They had their own site, Draft Express, I believe it was, and they kind of got bought out by ESPN. If you're Mike Schmitz and you're sitting there at draft day, he basically has to go home at night and say, I sold my soul to just get a bigger paycheck. Because what ESPN did on draft night is just beyond brutal. Every single pick, it was like, oh my God, his brother died. Or he lost his puppy at the age of 12. His pet gerbil, when he was 5 years old, ran away. It was, you couldn't even watch it. Like I had our stream on the entire time because when you guys like did stuff or I'd mute you guys for like 30 seconds. I was like, all right, let's see what ESPN has. It's like James Wiseman, his uncle Donnie, he was blind. So let's feel bad for James Wiseman. And that's not even what happened. But it's,
yeah.
How do you do that if you're ESPN? Like, are we so miserable and depressed that that's what people want to watch?
Don't even have an answer for that.
Like, if I'm watching the NBA draft and I'm in like, it's the second round of the draft, can we get into some player analysis at some point? Can we say, okay, here's Tyrell Terry and he's 6'1", 190 pounds or whatever. And we think he could shoot really well or something, blah, 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 blah. This is what he can do in Dallas. There was not any conversation. It was, oh my God. He burnt his steak the other night. Let's feel bad for him. It's so bad. It was so bad. Oh my God. I couldn't do it.
I'm glad I decided like a month beforehand. It's like, hey, let's do a draft live stream and pay attention to that and do that instead of watching ESPN's coverage.
It was so bad. They almost have to make like two different channels, like rope ABC into it and be like, okay, here's the sad part for ABC. And on ESPN, we actually, go into the players and we talk about shit.
That sounds awful to have watched.
That's why I had the live stream on the whole time. We can kind of talk about this, but I don't know. Like, I don't want to do it for the NFL, but I almost feel like, what's the fucking point in watching shit if they're going to be sob stories the whole time?
Yeah, they're not doing any analysis or coverage of the players or talking about their fit. And I told you I would mediate that one. Same thing like I did with the NBA. So if you want to do it, we can do it. It's a long ways away anyway.
How about if you had to pick a NBA champ today, who would it be?
NBA champ? I mean, just off rip, the Lakers look good, dude.
It's fucking bullshit.
It's like when they got Harrell, I just said, all right, that's it.
Yeah,
I'll see everyone in 2021, 2022. And
exactly
I've been telling people, I'm like, well, thank God the Grizzlies are in a rebuild, because if they were trying to compete right now, there's no way in the hell that they're going to compete with this Lakers team right now. Lakers are going to be the
better.
favorites.
They're not just better. They're like significantly better.
I know. Like I wrote down, let me see. They got Gasol, which I
think that's actually their worst move. I actually would have rather had McGee. I think that's their worst move. I watched that entire Celtics and Raptors series. Toronto was like, I was begging them to put him in because he's got nothing.
Yeah, I honestly think he should have just gone back to
Spain.
Yeah, and finished out his career there. But he's going to
Actually
ring chase.
I would have rather had McGee. I think that was actually the worst.
McGee is more athletic, but Gasol has the better mind, and it's going to be really funny. There's going to be a lot of Shaq'd in a fool moments probably with McGee in Cleveland if he doesn't have LeBron to ring him in. But then of course Montrezl Harrell, Schroeder is an upgrade. I don't care what people say. That's an upgrade over Rondo at that position. Wesley Matthews.
They just got Markieff Morris again today.
Mm-hmm. And KCP re-upped.
How much did he get, by the way?
KCP, I want to say it was like 16 or something
per
like
year?
that. Let me look. 3 year, $40 million is what he got.
Not bad.
So yeah, but they would obviously be. I have them written down right here as one of the winners of free agency, just from the fact that they won a championship and got significantly better.
I just hope the Clippers figure their shit out. Ibaka should be good for them. They're like the same team though. I just hope they figure their shit out.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think the winner of the offseason, and then we can wrap up on NBA stuff. I don't even want to say this because we got a super crazy fucking Portland Trailblazers fan who just goes nuts and thinks his team's going to win the title or something. But I think they had the best offseason. They somehow turned Hazonia into Canner. That's a great backup center. I wanted the Celtics to sign Harry Giles so bad. I think he's going to be, I don't know how good. I think there's something there. And to pick him up on, what was it, like a minimum contract is crazy to me. They bring back Rodney Hood. They brought back Carmelo, which is whatever. But the biggest one to me is Robert Covington. I think Covington's starting to really turn into a guy. To get him for Ariza, because this is a team that can't play any defense. To get him for Ariza, I think Portland had a hell of a summer.
Yeah, that and the fact that Covington has turned into a reliable three-point shooter with the Rockets. Taking that over to Portland is a huge plus. They did have a great offseason. They're not going to be at the bottom tier. As long as they stay healthy, they won't have to be a part of the play-in for the 8th seed. I think they're solid into the playoffs, that middle range, that 6-4 range.
All right, we're going to take a break, go back to one of our sponsors, and then we will wrap up with some NFL stuff.
The following broadcast is brought to you in association by XP Coffee Company. XP Coffee Company is the fresh brewed coffee made for gamers by gamers. Get amazing flavors like Choco Loco in 8, 12, or 16-ounce bags, or level up and get Illusion, Isolation, Nightmare, or the Majestic Throne blends in light, medium, or dark roast in whole bean, coarse French press, drip, or fine espresso in 12-ounce, 16-ounce, or 2-pound bags. Wow! Shipping worldwide. If you're in the U.S., go to usa.xpcoffee.co. If you're in Europe or in the U.K., go to www.xpcoffee.co. XP Coffee Company, for gamers, by gamers.
All right, let's get into some NFL stuff here. And I actually kind of want to lead off with Alex's team, the Raiders. Interesting Sunday night game yesterday. They barely lose to the Chiefs. And I've been thinking of, an angle to this. I think people are really missing the boat here. It's not, the Raiders are back. It's to me, it's Derek Carr is back. And it has a lot to do with, they have a decent set of receivers around him. John Gruden finally implementing a scheme and Carr's buying in. But this idea that, the Raiders are good, I'm not buying that one. Because roster-wise, they're really not that good. Where do you stand on the Raiders right now?
I think they're trending in the right direction. I mean, they obviously need to improve that defense as much as Alex loves that defense and thinks it's the greatest defense ever.
Their defensive coordinator deserves a raise.
Oh, absolutely. Going to be a head coach one of these days. Maybe the heir whenever Gruden finally decides to call it quits again. But I mean, like you said, Carr is playing a lot better. He played about as good of a game as you could against the Chiefs, and they stayed in it. It just so happens that they were going up against the Chiefs. If it's anybody else in the league, they probably come out with a win. The Raiders do, but it just so happens that one of their defensive backs decided to not play zone anymore in the final seconds when they dropped back into zone, and was just like, I'm going to do my own thing. And then Travis Kelce just like, hey, I'm open.
Which is kind of where I wanted to dive into further, because Derek Carr is the same guy as he was in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. He didn't just suddenly get better. He's just, buying into Gruden's system. They have a bunch of toys. Darren Waller's there, Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow. They have real receivers. Henry Ruggs, he hasn't gotten into the offense yet, but he's at least a good decoy. The problem I have with the Raiders, like you said, Jonathan Abram doesn't know how to cover. That's their first round pick. That's one of the guys you moved in a Khalil Mack trade or an Amari Cooper trade. That's who you wanted. This idea that the Raiders have a really good roster is not true to me, because a guy like Jonathan Abram, who I've said is a box safety who can't cover, is a box safety who can't cover. So until they actually get good pieces on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to be, they'll score some points, but they're not a real contender.
I agree. It's the same. I view them the same way that I view the Dolphins, just kind of at different aspects, where the Dolphins they have a younger quarterback and are trying to get better, where the Raiders, they have their veteran quarterback. They're just trying to put better pieces around them. And it was stupid for people to try to include Miami in their top 5. I know a lot of people were doing that. No, they're 100% not ready yet. I know, like, Cowherd was calling them, possible Super Bowl contenders. And it's just like, dude, chill. Rookie quarterback. He is going to have another bad game. Had a horrendous game against the Broncos. It was about what I expect the Dolphins to do on a week-to-week basis. They just played really well up until that point. Their offense wasn't clicking, and their defense couldn't get. They did about as well as they normally do. Held the Broncos to 20 points. That's fine. That should normally win you a game, but the offense just couldn't.
Don't we have to remember that Miami was tanking a year ago?
Yeah, we definitely got to remember that.
This is a franchise that is not trying a year ago.
No, they are 100% overachieving.
Yes.
That's because Brian Flores is a fantastic coach, and all those players are bought into the system. Great coach, and you have players that are bought in. You're going to play great football. You're going to be competitive, and you're going to win games. I'm not expecting this.
I want to bring up the Tua benching. I don't love that move. If you're going to put him in the game, you're going to make the commitment to start him. Don't change your mind halfway through a game. I've said this. I think Fitzpatrick should have started the entire season. Not going to waver from that opinion. Tua had a nice start against the Cardinals. He had a nice start. Who's the other team they beat? I can't think of the other team.
Chargers.
He had a nice start against the Chargers. Denver, not so good. But if you're going to make the switch, you can't pull him mid-game in the third quarter or whatever he did. That's a bad look to me.
It is. And I guess you could say he's trying to teach his rookie QB a lesson. But the best lesson you could teach him is to go out there, and if he somehow plays great that last quarter and a half, the best lessons he's going to learn right now are on the field. You put him out there, and he either gets the team together, puts a couple drives, and they win, or they fail, and you leave that at his feet for him to grow at. You can't just take him out. Yeah, and he said that he hasn't lost the job, that he's going to start next week too. But I don't know what he was trying to do.
Can we talk about Joe Burrow too? Tears his ACL, MCL, or whatever. But I know people have been quick to crown Joe Burrow. Is the guy really that good? like you're the number one pick of the Cincinnati Bengals. You go in, you have to change the franchise. I'm not seeing him changing the franchise. I'm seeing a guy who doesn't have enough protection and can't overcome it. Like, what did Joe Burrow do this year that said, oh my God, he's amazing? Because he had some nice moments. He had some big passing performances. He put up some yards against the Browns. But overall, in a vacuum, are we going to pretend this guy's like made it? We're 100% convinced is, a top tier starting quarterback? Because I will not say that right now.
I mean, he's played well for the situation that he's in, and it's a bad situation. Like you said,
not a great situation, but it's not like the cupboard's bare either. I think he's got some decent wide receivers. T. Higgins has been good. He's still got AJ Green, who's a little bit washed up, but Tyler Boyd's really good. He's got more to work with than some people.
They just need an offensive line.
They need an offensive line very badly, yes.
Yeah, they just need any type of offensive line and a defense that can stop somebody. And that's going to be the difference maker, in my opinion. And then probably once kind of that happens, which it should happen if this front office is competent in any shape or form, then they'll build that offensive line, then they'll build on that defense. If they draft well, then if Burrow is having the same type of numbers, let's see, what is he at? He's at for the year, he's at 13 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Yeah, it probably could be better. They've asked a lot of them, but at the end of the day,
it was a rookie quarterback performance. I just don't want to sit here and say, oh my God, he's made it.
No, he hasn't made it yet. No one has made it yet at this time.
How about 2 more things and we can wrap up? Taysom Hill. Saints win 24-9. I was kind of being the Lone Ranger in the chat. I thought Taysom Hill got a bad rap in our Slack chat. He was getting, Scott, who thinks he knows everything, talking shit on him. Chad's always hated on him. We got people calling him a tight end. And I just sat back and said, you know what? Sean Payton knows what he's doing. I've been a Jameis Winston defender, but I'm going to trust that Sean Payton knows what he's doing. He goes out there, and it wasn't a perfect performance, but it's enough to beat the dog shit Falcons. And I think the most important thing is maybe Taysom Hill's not a long-term 16 game per year starting quarterback, but Sean Payton can scheme enough to win 3 or 4 games here. So this doesn't have to work for 16 games. It just has to work for 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, that's what they did with Teddy Bridgewater last season.
They didn't lose with Teddy Bridgewater.
No, yeah. and it's because you had a great team around him, built around him, obviously. But it's kind of like, Fitzpatrick, there's a limit to what he'll give you. There's a limit to what Bridgewater will give you. There's a limit to what Hill will give you. You just got to hope and pray that they don't hit that limit, within that time frame. It was interesting to see him go with Hill over Winston. I'm curious to know what is going on behind the scenes, like what's happening in practice. How's Winston looking in practice for him to decide that he's going to go with Hill over Winston? But at the end of the day, they got the win, and they sit up top of the NFC right now. So it's working for him right now.
I lied. There's another thing I want to bring up, but what do you think about the NFC East? We have Philadelphia, who this is at least my thoughts on it. I will defend Carson Wentz here. And as we've talked about on the lead word, he is not problem 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. He's not playing well. In fact, I'd say he's probably playing bad, but he's not the top 10 of list of problems here. The New York Giants, you got Dave Gettleman running the team to the ground. You got Jason Garrett as the offensive coordinator. They lose Barkley for the year, yet they're somehow in it. Washington's on their 3rd quarterback. They're somehow in it.
It is just
the Dallas Cowboys,
the most exciting conference in the league, a 4-way tie.
The Cowboys, they were starting a quarterback who couldn't throw an overhand at one point, Ben DiNucci. Garrett Gilbert, now Dalton, and apparently he played despite the fact that he still has a bad headache from a concussion and he can't taste or smell anything because of COVID, but somehow he won a game. What the fuck is happening in the NFC East?
That's just some really bad football, man. Like these are probably the only one that you can look at with some sort of like maybe they have a direction, not really. Just because more so you could look on the bright side than anything else is maybe Washington, because their defense has actually been playing not terribly. Their point differential, they've actually been fairly close all season in a lot of their games, so they at least have been competitive in some shape or form, whereas everyone else,
it's amazing.
They're winning close games or they're getting blown out. That's it. That's the only thing they're.
Dallas has a negative 83 point differential.
That's big yikes. Yeah, Washington's only at
Washington has
27
the best point differential.
Just at 27. So that means that their defense is playing fairly good, which I mean,
Chase Young's a monster.
Oh yeah, that hit on Joe Burrow was mean. I'm surprised that one wasn't the one that ended Joe Burrow's season and possibly next season too. That was a mean hit.
One more thing, and I want you to bring this up to Brian because I want his opinion on if I'm crazy or not. The more and more time that goes on, it just feels like the more and more I've been proven right here. We come into this year, we have guys like Colin Cowherd say the Baltimore Ravens are going to go 16-0. He puts that out in the public. He feels really good about it. I've been told I've been wrong about this Lamar Jackson thing, that he's a superstar. He's a worthy MVP candidate. Yet we sit here today and Baltimore entered the season never having to leave the Eastern time zone. They had the easiest strength of schedule in the league. And right now they wouldn't make the playoffs. They're 6-4. What is going on here? Because I kind of know what's going on here, but everyone else seems to be surprised with why the Ravens aren't that good.
And that's because the wheels are falling off Lamar. Everyone's starting to figure him out. He doesn't. I mean, there's only so many things that you can do. He's running the football. You're going to find ways to stop that. And that's what's happening.
This is another game. He throws for 186 yards, 17-29. Can't get it done in the air. Marquise Brown, 0 yards. I mean, we talk about fantasy. Marquise Brown has 0 fantasy value because he literally can't get him the ball.
No.
Lamar Jackson has not thrown for 250 yards in any game this year except for week 1. That is it. If your starting quarterback can't throw for 250 yards in any game, isn't there a problem here? Why am I the only one that saw this coming? Why is everyone surprised that they suck? Why is everyone surprised that, oh my God, he just doesn't look the same? No shit.
It's because you're right, dude. There's no other way to put it. The wheels are coming off the Lamar train. But people that want to be right with their takes, they're going to stick with it and consider him an MVP candidate.
The goalpost will keep moving. Come on, he's at least a good starter. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
They will keep moving. They will keep moving.
No one runs like him. He doesn't need to throw for 250 yards because he's going to give you 70 yards and a touchdown on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But
if
at
they
the
don't
end of
make
the day,
playoffs, it's embarrassing.
Oh, if they don't make the playoffs, that would be the biggest failure of this season of any team. Of all the teams that had expectations coming into this season,
they're behind Cleveland.
Because yeah, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. And you would think that this is a
Cleveland has a quarterback that can't play.
Yeah, but he could throw for 250 yards.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to bring up?
No, man. I think that's it for me here.
Star Wars, new Star Wars series you got going on.
Yeah, it's the OG Battlefront, dude. I would be scared to know how many hours I put in that. in my childhood, because there was like that and 2 other games, and that's all I played when I was a kid. I would honest to God be scared if I could find the old hard drive that has all that information on it. Oof. Way too much time.
Make sure to follow Jackson, JLaw 1995, myself, Trey Dalbert. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Your support means a lot. Every subscription helps. Send it to your friends, your family, your mom, your sister, whatever. It will help us out. Patreon, make sure to go there, help us out, donate if you can. Other than that, I think that'll do it. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.